Reactivation of the snapback sanctions against Iran by the United Kingdom, France, and Germany marks a decisive moment in global diplomacy. Analysts say it has effectively sealed the fate of the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or JCPOA, the nuclear deal that once held Iran's nuclear ambitions in check. But while the move appears to signal the death of the JCPOA, it has also reignited quiet diplomacy aimed at containing Iran's nuclear escalation and preventing regional instability. The deal had been deteriorating since the U.S. withdrawal in 2018. By 2024, Iran had already surpassed enrichment limits and restricted UN inspections. In response, the European trio, known as the E3, triggered the dispute resolution mechanism, eventually reinstating sanctions that target Iran's nuclear and missile programs, its military entities, and key political figures. Western governments argue that the snapback move reinforces global non-proliferation norms, displays Western unity, and closes the legal loopholes Iran exploited after the deal began to unravel. Iran, on the other hand, condemned the sanctions as illegitimate and provocative, claiming Western non-compliance justified its nuclear advances. Yet, beneath the public rhetoric, quiet diplomacy has returned. Through intermediaries such as Oman, Qatar, and China, indirect communications have reopened. Reports suggest Tehran has shown limited willingness to freeze uranium enrichment above 60%, permit partial IAEA monitoring, and discuss targeted sanctions relief, especially in the energy and financial sectors. However, both sides remain cautious. Iran demands economic guarantees, while the West insists on transparency and regional restraint before any relief can occur. The broader Middle East landscape also shapes this equation. The recent ceasefire in Gaza has freed diplomatic channels to refocus on Iran. Israel, still recalibrating after months of conflict, signals readiness for confrontation, but is also exploring new ways to strengthen deterrence without immediate military action. Meanwhile, Iran's strategic ties with Russia and China are deepening. Moscow depends on Iranian drones and missiles, while Beijing continues balancing its energy partnerships with efforts to maintain Gulf stability. Both powers quietly favor renewed dialogue, as long as it limits Western influence. The risk of a nuclear breakout remains high. Without full monitoring, experts warn Iran could reach weapons capability within months. This possibility raises concerns of unilateral Israeli action, a scenario that the U.S. and Europe are working urgently to avoid. At the same time, Tehran could expand support for regional proxy networks in Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq, increasing pressure on adversaries while complicating diplomatic efforts. Ultimately, the snapback mechanism has not closed the path to negotiation. It has merely reset the chessboard. With global attention split between the wars in Ukraine and Gaza and power rivalries intensifying, future diplomacy will depend less on formal deals and more on coercive leverage, quiet understandings, and regional calculations. Whether this leads to stability or crisis will depend on how far each side is willing to compromise without admitting defeat.